Hello, you see, we are starting the daily benefits update, but first like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have searched for information about SNAP benefits in 2026 and found different explanations about who qualifies and who does not, that is because the rules have been changing in ways that are not always explained clearly. Today, we're going to go through what is actually happening with SNAP eligibility for older Americans under the newer guidelines. No complicated policy language, no assumptions, just a clear explanation of how the rules work, who they apply to, and what they mean in practical terms. I am Andrew, and I have spent time reviewing how SNAP eligibility rules are being applied to older adults under current federal guidelines. Everything we will cover comes directly from official program sources like USDA and benefits.gov. Before we get into this, yeah, if you find this kind of plain language explanation of benefit programs useful, subscribe and turn on notifications. Each week, this channel explains one topic clearly and without unnecessary complexity. Now, let us get into how SNAP rules are changing for older Americans. The most common misunderstanding about SNAP benefits is that once you qualify as a senior, your eligibility stays mostly stable. This belief makes sense because many people assume retirement income is fixed and therefore easier to evaluate, but that is not exactly how the program works. SNAP eligibility is reviewed regularly and it is based on income, assets, and household changes, not just age. New rule adjustments and enforcement practices can change how those factors are calculated. We are going to walk through each part of this so you have a complete picture of how eligibility is actually determined. To make this concrete, consider someone like Walter. Walter is 68 years old, lives in Arizona, and worked for many years as a warehouse supervisor before retiring. He currently receives $1,720 per month from Social Security and has about $8,500 in savings. Walter believed that because he had already qualified for SNAP 2 years ago, his benefits would continue without much change. Here is what was actually happening in his situation. During a routine eligibility review, his state recalculated both his income and his available resources under updated guidelines. While his monthly income stayed the same, the way certain deductions were applied changed slightly and his savings were evaluated more closely. As a result, his benefit amount was adjusted. This is not unusual. This situation comes up regularly for people in Walter's position, and understanding how these reviews work would have made the outcome much clearer. Let us start with the foundation. SNAP eligibility is determined primarily by income and resources. According to the USDA Food and Nutrition Service guidelines at fnsusda.gov, households must meet both income limits and, in some cases, asset limits depending on the state. In simple terms, income includes things like Social Security payments, pensions, or part-time work. Resources include savings accounts, cash, and certain investments. For older adults, the rules are slightly different. Households with at least one person age 60 or older can qualify under what is called net income rules, which allow for additional deductions. For example, the gross income limit for a one-person household is typically around $1,580 per month, while the net income after deductions must fall below a similar threshold. The maximum SNAP benefit for a single individual is approximately $291 per month, though most people receive less depending on their income. Now, you might be wondering what counts as a deduction. The answer is that certain expenses reduce your countable income. According to USDA guidelines, these include medical expenses over $35 per month for seniors, housing costs, and utility allowances. Now that we understand income, we can look at resources. Under federal rules, the asset limit for households with an older adult is generally $4,150. However, some states use what is called broad-based categorical eligibility, which may allow higher asset levels. This next part is where it gets more specific. Recent adjustments are not always about changing the law itself, but about how states verify and review eligibility. According to benefits.gov, periodic reviews and verification requirements have become more consistent across states. That means individuals may be asked to provide updated documentation more frequently or with greater detail. For example, bank account balances, changes in household size, or even small increases in income can affect eligibility calculations. You might be wondering, does this mean benefits are being removed? The answer is not exactly. The program itself has not been eliminated or reduced universally. What has changed is how strictly eligibility is evaluated and how often reviews occur. And finally, this is the piece that ties everything together. SNAP benefits are designed to adjust based on your current situation. This means increases or decreases are part of how the system is intended to work. In Walter's situation specifically, his benefit adjustment was not due to losing eligibility entirely, but because his recalculated net income placed him in a slightly different benefit range. One thing worth understanding about SNAP is how it connects to other programs. For example, SNAP eligibility can sometimes affect Medicaid or energy assistance programs. When income is recalculated for SNAP, it may also influence eligibility thresholds for these programs because they often use similar income definitions. This is not a warning and just something worth knowing so you have the complete picture. Before we finish, let me answer three questions that come up most often about SNAP benefits. Question one: can SNAP benefits stop after a review? Answer: yes. If your income or resources exceed the limits, benefits can stop. However, many people simply see adjustments rather than full discontinuation. Question two: do savings automatically disqualify you? Answer: not always. It depends on the total amount and whether your state uses flexible asset rules. Some states allow higher savings limits. Question three: how often are SNAP reviews done? Answer: typically every 6 to 12 months, but this can vary by state and individual circumstances. Everything we covered today applies generally, but your specific situation may include details that change how these rules apply to you. The most reliable way to get your exact answers through official resources. You can create or log into your account at ssa.gov to review your income records. You can call the Social Security Administration directly at 1-800-772-1213 to verify reported income. For SNAP specific details, benefits.gov provides eligibility tools based on your state. If you also receive Medicare, Medicare.gov can help clarify how income changes affect your coverage. And for broader assistance, you can contact the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116 to find local support services. These are free, official, and tailored to your situation. One factual note before we finish: government agencies like the SSA do not call, text, or email asking for personal information or threatening benefit suspension. If you receive communication like that, it is not official. You can always verify by calling 1-800-772-1213 directly. I am curious, was there a specific part of SNAP eligibility that felt unclear before watching this? Leave it in the comments. The most common questions become future videos. That is SNAP eligibility in 2026 explained as clearly as I can put it. If something is still unclear, the comment section is open and I read every question. If this was useful, share it with someone who had the same question. I am Andrew. I will see you in the next one.